Welcome to another deep dive. We've got a ton of stuff on DeepSeek this time. Articles, research notes, and even some interview transcripts. Looks like someone's really digging deep.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's trying to get a handle on this, and for good reason.
Yeah,
There's a lot more to DeepSeek than just, hype.
that's right. We need to go beyond the headlines. What does it all actually mean? For the future of AI, for companies like OpenAI and Google, and for all of us, really.
Exactly. And that's really interesting. A lot of the insights we're getting are coming from, well, kind of unexpected places.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like, did you see that interview transcript from a Chinese podcast? That thing goes deep.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Not your typical source, but super interesting perspective, right?
Totally. Really insightful.
Okay, so maybe let's start with the basics, just so everyone's on the same page. We're talking about DeepSeek, developed by this Chinese firm, Huanfang Quant. They've been using AI in trading for a while now, since 2016, actually.
Yeah, but DeepSeek, this is different. It's caught everyone's attention because, well, it's pretty darn good. Almost as good as what OpenAI is putting out, but way cheaper.
And that's what's really shaking things up. Suddenly, everyone has to rethink how AI is developed, how it's priced,
Yeah,
even who the major players are going to be.
right. The whole landscape's shifting.
And we're already seeing the effects. OpenAI, they've already had to slash prices, even for free users. That's going to sting a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
So DeepSeek, Huanfeng Quant, they released 3 key updates recently. There's DeepSeek v3, their base model. Then there's DeepSeek R10, that's a reasoning model. And the thing is, it was trained with unsupervised learning. And then they've got DeepSeek R1, which is like a refined version of the reasoning model.
Yeah, so with V3, they really focus on efficiency, like really, really focus. They use this thing called mixture of experts, or MOE. It's a clever architecture. Imagine like a team of specialists, each an expert in something different. So if you need to process language, boom, you activate the language expert. Need images, call in the image expert.
Ah, so it's not like one giant AI brain, more like a network of smaller, specialized brains working together.
Exactly. And because you're only using the computing power you need for a specific task, it's super efficient,
Yeah.
which is how DeepSeek can be so good, but, without needing the crazy expensive hardware.
Smart. And it's not just the architecture, right? Didn't they also do some clever engineering to get even more performance?
Oh, yeah. They use this technique called multi-head latent attention, MLA, to break down big tasks into smaller chunks. Helps overcome memory limitations, boost performance. Clever stuff.
And remember, they're claiming they trained V3 for just $5.5 million. That's unheard of for a model this big.
Right. Makes you wonder what else is possible when you're not, like, throwing billions of dollars at a problem.
So how about those reasoning models, R10 and R1? That's where the reinforcement learning comes in, right?
Exactly. R10, they trained it purely through reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
No human feedback involved. Imagine teaching an AI to, like, solve a maze purely through trial and error. Reward it when it finds the right path.
Wow, so it's learning by doing, essentially. More like how humans actually learn. We don't need constant hand-holding. We just, try things out, learn from our mistakes.
Precisely. And it seems to work pretty well for AI, too.
But there's got to be a trade-off, right? The transcript from that Chinese podcast mentions something about this pure reinforcement learning approach leading to some quirks.
Ah, yes. The R10, it was a bit rough around the edges. Think of it like this. The AI, it was so focused on getting the right answer that it didn't really care how it got there. So yeah, you might get a correct answer, but presented in this jumbled, nonsensical way. Not exactly user-friendly.
Okay, so not the best conversationalist then.
Not quite. So
Yeah.
for R1, the refined model, they did incorporate some supervised training, a little bit of human guidance, showed some examples of like good communication, clear structure that helps smooth things out.
So they're combining the best of both worlds. The innovation of reinforcement learning with the polish of human feedback.
Exactly. It's a pragmatic approach, balancing, pushing the boundaries of AI
Right.
with making sure it's usable, understandable for humans.
Makes sense. Oh, and I almost forgot, the podcast also mentioned this whole controversy about whether DeepSeek was using model distillation. Basically, the accusation is that they were copying OpenAI's data to train their model. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's murky territory.
Yeah.
OpenAI's terms of service, they prohibit using their data to train competing models. But what defines a competitor is still debatable, I guess.
It's like the Wild West out there. The law can barely keep up with how fast AI is moving.
Exactly. And this whole debate about data usage, fair play, it's only going to get more intense.
Okay, so we've talked about how DeepSeek is built differently. But what about the actual impact it's having? I mean, its low cost has already forced OpenAI to cut prices, even for free users.
Yeah, it's a real challenge for them. They've been used to being the premium brand in AI, but it's good news for developers, right? Access to powerful tools at a fraction of the cost.
Totally. And lower prices, that could mean a whole lot more innovation. More people can experiment, build new applications. It's not just about developers, though. Think about those AI companions like on Character AI. Suddenly, those long, engaging chats with your favorite AI character become like actually affordable.
Absolutely. And it's not just about fun either. DeepSeek's efficiency, it could mean AI agents become much more powerful, much more accessible.
Right. An AI agent that handles your schedule, books travel, researches stuff, writes emails, all without costing a fortune. It's like having a team of like virtual experts at your fingertips.
It's a pretty exciting vision of the future, and DeepSeek, it's pushing us closer. And there's another angle too, the podcast. It also talked about device-based AI.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. DeepSeek, it could actually let us run complex AI models directly on our devices, phones, laptops, without needing the cloud at all.
Think about it. AI that's embedded in everything. Personalized recommendations, real-time translation, AI-powered creative tools, all without needing an internet connection.
Wow, that's huge. A total game changer, and probably a bit scary for the tech giants who rely on, cloud-based services.
Yeah, it's going to shake things up. A lot of questions about privacy, security, even the whole business model of the tech industry.
Okay, so we've talked about the tech, we've talked about the impact. But what about the company behind DeepSeek, Huanfang Quant? They're a pretty interesting bunch.
Yeah, they are.
Eh,
Pretty secretive. But that podcast transcript gave us a glimpse into their world. And let me tell you, it's not your typical Silicon Valley story.
Definitely not. Okay, so they were founded by this mathematician, Liang Wenfang. Back in 2008, she started exploring AI for trading, way before it was, cool.
Talk about foresight. While everyone else was chasing the next big thing, she was betting on this long-term vision. And that vision, it seems like it shaped the whole company culture.
So what are they like, these DeepSeek creators?
Super focused on technical excellence, flat hierarchy, a deep, deep belief in the power of AI. Reminds me of OpenAI back in the early days, before Microsoft and all the pressure to commercialize.
It's refreshing, isn't it? A contrast to the whole move fast and break things mentality.
Absolutely. And it's clearly working for them, not just with DeepSeek, but they've been incredibly successful with their trading too.
So, talent, vision, track record. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, was it? That podcast, it also mentioned DeepSeek initially struggled to attract investors.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about now, right, with all the hype around DeepSeek. But they faced a lot of rejection. Venture capitalists weren't exactly throwing money at them.
So, why do you think that is? I mean, what were these investors thinking?
Well, remember, this was before DeepSeek had really made a name for itself. No flashy demos, no big-name partnerships.
So maybe investors just didn't see the potential.
Maybe. But the podcast, it also suggested some investors might have been hesitant about a company coming from quant trading. Like maybe they saw DeepSeek as an outsider, didn't think they had the experience to compete.
Ah, that Silicon Valley bias. Gotta love it. Favoring the familiar over the unconventional.
Exactly. And remember, back then, a lot of investors were really wary of big AI projects, especially those focused on fundamental research. AI is expensive, and the payoff, it can be years away.
It's that classic dilemma, right? Balancing short-term gains with long-term vision.
And DeepSeek, they just decided to go for it, funded their own development, leveraged the profits from their trading.
Talk about believing in yourself. Really goes to show sometimes you got to take the unconventional path.
Absolutely. And it makes their success all the more impressive.
Okay, so they built it, but what does DeepSeek actually do? Let's get into the specifics. One area where it's having a huge impact, those AI companions, the ones you can chat with, like on Character AI.
Oh, yeah, character AI, it's huge, right? Create and chat with AI versions of anyone. Historical figures, fictional characters. People are spending hours on there.
Right. But running those companions, it takes a lot of computing power, which limits how complex and engaging they can be. That's where DeepSeek comes in.
Exactly. More efficient models means richer, more immersive experiences. Imagine, like, having a deep conversation with AI Albert Einstein, really digging into his theories.
It's like bringing history and imagination to life.
And it's not just about fun. These companions could provide companionship, support. Think about people who are isolated, lonely.
It's a sensitive topic, but it's got a lot of potential.
Absolutely. And we need to make sure these companions are developed, and use responsibly, ethically. That's key.
No doubt. Okay, so another area where DeepSeek's having a big impact, those AI agents, the AI systems that can, like, act on our behalf, make decisions, super-powered personal assistants, essentially.
Yeah, imagine an agent that handles your schedule, does research, books appointments, even drafts emails, writes code, all seamlessly adapting to your preferences. Like a team of virtual experts working for you.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is, and DeepSeek is making that vision more and more realistic.
But of course, there are ethical concerns. Like with any powerful technology, we have to be careful.
For sure. Jobs, privacy, even human agency. If AI is making decisions for us, who's responsible? Big questions we need to be asking.
Yeah, no easy answers. Okay, so companions, agents. DeepSeek's also impacting this whole other category, device-based AI.
This is where things get really wild. Because of DeepSeek's efficiency, we could actually run complex AI models right on our devices, no cloud needed.
So the AI is working right on my phone, laptop, whatever.
Exactly. Personalized health monitoring, real-time translation, even AI-powered creative tools, all running locally. Think about it, you wouldn't even need an internet connection.
It's like the power of AI right there in your pocket. But wouldn't that, like, totally disrupt the tech giants, the ones who make money from those cloud-based services?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine, no more monthly subscriptions for AI tools. The value would shift to the hardware, could shake up the whole tech industry.
It's a huge shift. Okay, so DeepSeek's impact, it's far-reaching. But what about the cultural context? That Chinese podcast, they talked a lot about how AI is being developed differently in China compared to, the West.
Yeah, it was a fascinating discussion. They contrasted Huanfang Quant's approach, which they saw as more pragmatic, results-oriented, compared to what they see as a more idealistic, research-driven culture in Silicon Valley.
So it's like move fast and break things versus like think deep and publish papers.
Kinda, yeah. Chinese companies, they're often more focused on getting products out there quickly, iterating based on feedback. Less about theory, more about what works in the real world.
Makes sense given how competitive China's tech scene is.
Right. And it's working for them. They're not afraid to experiment, take risks. And that willingness to push boundaries, it might be one of the reasons why a company like Huanfang Quant could pull off DeepSeek.
Good point. It's a reminder that innovation, it doesn't always come from the usual suspects.
Exactly. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the most unexpected places.
Okay, so DeepSeek, it's shaking things up now. But what about the future? What did the podcast hosts think about the long-term implications?
They seemed really intrigued by this idea of a fundamental shift in how we even think about AI. They talked about a future where AI isn't just in the cloud, but distributed across a huge network of devices, each one contributing its own processing power, its own data.
So it's like a collective AI learning and evolving together.
Yeah, a decentralized brain. And DeepSeek, with its efficiency, it makes that vision a lot more plausible.
It's like a living AI ecosystem.
And that shift, it would have massive implications for privacy security. If AI is not reliant on those centralized data centers anymore, well, it's a lot harder to control, harder to censor.
That's an interesting thought. DeepSeek could actually lead to a more democratic AI, one that's more resilient, empowering individuals and communities.
It's a possibility, for sure. And they also talked about how DeepSeek's focus on efficiency could lead to entirely new AI algorithms, architectures, ones that are optimized for very specific tasks, environments.
So instead of one giant AI that does everything, we'll have these specialized systems, each one tailored for a specific job.
Exactly. AI for healthcare, for education, even for creative stuff, like writing music.
It's like instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we'll have AI that's purpose-built for the challenges we're facing.
And that could lead to big improvements in performance, efficiency, even safety. Think about AI-powered medical diagnosis tools tailored for a specific disease.
So DeepSeek's impact, it might not just be about the model itself, it's about these new ways of thinking about AI, these new possibilities it's opening up.
Exactly. It's about pushing the boundaries, finding creative solutions.
Well, I think we can all agree DeepSeek's definitely a game changer. But before we wrap up this part of the dive, I want to highlight something the podcast host said that really stuck with me. They called DeepSeek a wake-up call.
Yeah, I thought that was spot on. It's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere, and that nobody, no matter how big or how well-funded, can afford to get complacent.
It's a challenge to everyone in the AI world to think bigger, be bolder, and to, never underestimate the power of a good idea.
And the future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's something we're all shaping.
So as we keep digging into DeepSeek, let's keep that in mind. The journey's just beginning.
And the most exciting discoveries might be just around the corner. It's not just the big guys like OpenAI that DeepSeek is shaking up. The open source AI community, they're feeling the heat too.
That's right. The podcast, they really highlighted that. DeepSeek's more open than Meta's Llama, which, kind of forced their
It's
hands.
pretty interesting to watch, actually.
Yeah.
This whole push for transparency, it's forcing everyone to be more open.
And that's got to be good for innovation, right? More people can experiment, build on existing work.
Exactly. It's not just about the code itself either. It's about that culture of sharing, of collaboration.
A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say.
Exactly. And the open source community, they're loving this. DeepSeek's releasing all these detailed reports. It's setting a new standard.
But there's a flip side to all this openness, isn't there? What about security? Didn't the podcast mention some kind of vulnerability in DeepSeek's system?
Yeah, there was a report about a security flaw. It's a good reminder that, open doesn't mean you just throw caution to the wind.
Right. Security's got to be a top priority,
Okay.
especially when you're dealing with, sensitive user data.
Absolutely. You can have the most amazing AI in the world, but if it's not secure, it's a liability.
So it's a balancing act, right? Openness for innovation, but with robust security to protect users.
Exactly. And this isn't just a DeepSeek issue. It's something the whole AI community needs to be thinking about.
Okay, so DeepSeek's taken on OpenAI. It's pushed the open source world forward. But what about the hardware? AI needs serious computing power, and that means chips. Lots of expensive chips.
Right. And the podcast, they had this whole discussion about DeepSeek's impact on the chip market. It's fascinating because their efficiency, it kind of raises the question, do we even need those super expensive chips? The ones from NVIDIA.
You mean if DeepSeek can do so much with powerful hardware, maybe NVIDIA's not going to be on top forever. Their stock definitely took a hit when DeepSeek came out.
It did, but it's not that simple. Some experts think DeepSeek could actually increase demand for AI chips in the long run.
Wait, how does that work?
Think about it. If AI becomes more affordable, more accessible, more people are going to want to use it. And that means they're going to need chips. Maybe not the top-of-the-line ones, but still.
It's like back in the day when PCs got cheaper, suddenly everyone wanted one, and the demand for chips just exploded.
Exactly. DeepSeek could be the catalyst for a similar boom in the AI chip market, just maybe not the kind of boom NVIDIA was hoping for.
So maybe they need to, shift their strategy, offer a wider range of chips at different price points.
Right, cater to a broader market. It's a new game, but still a huge opportunity.
Okay, but what about NVIDIA's software, CUDA? Isn't that their real advantage? More than the chips themselves. The podcast mentioned something about DeepSeek bypassing parts of CUDA. Is that even possible?
Yeah, there were some rumors about that, and it definitely got people talking. If DeepSeek can achieve state-of-the-art AI without needing CUDA, well, that's a big deal.
So is DeepSeek about to, dethrone the king of AI chips?
Hold on, it's not quite that dramatic. The experts on the podcast, they pointed out, DeepSeek hasn't completely ditched CUDA. They're still using NVIDIA GPUs, but they've gotten really clever with their code, interacting with the hardware at a lower level, so they don't need some of the higher-level functions of CD.
Ah, so they're like expert mechanics, getting more performance out of the engine by tinkering under the hood.
Exactly. It shows how skilled they are. But even if other companies wanted to copy them, it wouldn't be easy. CUDA, it's the industry standard for a reason. Deeply integrated into everything.
It's like trying to switch to a totally new operating system. Might be some benefits, but there's a learning curve.
For sure. So for now, most companies are probably sticking with CUD, but DeepSeek, they've shown things can change. NVIDIA can't just sit back and relax.
It's a good reminder, disruption can come from anywhere.
And that's what keeps things interesting, this constant push to innovate. It's what drives progress.
Okay, so what about the impact on the AI startup ecosystem? The podcast, they framed it as a democratization of AI. Sounds kind of grand, but do you think it's true?
I think it's a pretty accurate description. DeepSeek, it's lowering the barriers to entry. Suddenly, startups can compete with the big guys without needing tons of money or crazy expensive hardware.
It's like leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
Could lead to this whole wave of new AI startups tackling all sorts of problems.
Exactly. Healthcare, education, entertainment. Imagine solutions coming from small teams all over the world, each one with their own unique perspective.
It's a really exciting thought. AI innovation not just coming from Silicon Valley anymore.
Right. It's becoming truly global.
But the podcast hosts, they also cautioned that, this new era, it might not be all sunshine and rainbows.
They did. With more competition, more pressure to deliver results quickly, there's a risk startups might focus on, like short-term gains instead of long-term vision.
Right. So it's not enough to just have a cool AI app. You got to build a sustainable business. Think about the ethical implications. Create something that actually adds value.
And that's where mentors, investors, advisors, they can really make a difference, helping startups navigate the challenges.
It's like having a map and a compass in a gold rush. The excitement's there, but you need to know where you're going.
Perfect analogy. And with DeepSeek shaking things up, that kind of guidance is more important than ever.
So we talked about how DeepSeek's impacting the big picture, but the podcast hosts, they were particularly excited about its potential in certain specific areas, like device-based AI, for example.
Yeah, we've touched on that before, but it's worth digging deeper. DeepSeek's efficiency. It could make it possible to run really sophisticated AI models right on your devices. No need for the cloud.
So instead of sending your data to some far-off server, the AI is working right there on your phone, your laptop.
Exactly. Think about it. Real-time language translation that actually understands context and nuance. Personalized health monitoring that analyzes your data, alerts you to potential problems. AI-powered creative tools right there in your pocket.
It's like having a personal AI assistant always there to help.
And because it's all happening locally, no need to worry about your data being sent to the cloud. That's a big win for privacy.
Huge, especially as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives.
And it's not just about the user experience. The podcast, they even suggested this shift towards device-based AI could disrupt that whole hardware plus SaaS business model.
You mean the one where companies sell you a device, then charge you a monthly fee to use their software?
Exactly. But what if the software gets so efficient it can run right on the device? No cloud connection needed, no subscription.
Companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, they'd have to completely rethink their approach.
It's a potential power shift.
Yeah.
And DeepSeek, it could be the thing that sets it in motion.
Fascinating. Okay, so DeepSeek's affecting the tech giants, the open source folks, the chip makers. But what about its creators? Huanfang Quant. The podcast really dug into their culture, their whole approach to AI.
They did, and it's pretty remarkable. They're not like any other company out there. More like a research lab than a financial firm.
And it all comes from the top, right? Liang Wenfeng, their founder, she's this mathematician who's been, like, obsessed with AI for years.
Imagine building a quant trading firm where pushing the boundaries of AI is just as important as making money.
It's a different mindset, for sure. And that mindset, it seems like it's spread throughout the whole company. Flat hierarchy, focus on technical excellence, this deep belief in AI.
Reminds me of those early days at OpenAI, that sense of, like, pure passion for the technology.
And it's working for them, too, not just with DeepSeek, but their trading record, it's phenomenal.
Consistently beating the market. Shows they're not just playing around, they know what they're doing.
But it wasn't always easy, was it? The podcast mentioned that. Back in 2021, they had a rough year. Something about their AI algorithms not performing as well as expected.
Yeah, they hit a snag. But instead of giving up on AI, they just dug deeper, invested even more.
Shows real commitment, right?
Yeah.
A belief in their vision even when things get tough.
And that commitment, it eventually led to DeepSeek.
It's kind of crazy to think about, right? This company that's shaking things up now, they initially struggled to get funding for DeepSeek.
It is. They faced a lot of rejection from investors.
It's amazing to think that the company that's like revolutionizing AI couldn't even get a meeting with some people back then.
The podcast hosts, they had a few theories about that. Remember, this was before DeepSeek had really made a name for itself. No fancy demos, no media hype.
So maybe investors just didn't get it.
Possibly. But the podcast also suggested some investors might have been hesitant about Huanfang Quant coming from the trading world. Like, maybe they didn't see them as a real AI company.
That Silicon Valley bias again?
Exactly. Plus, AI research, it's expensive. And a lot of investors, they're looking for quick returns, not long-term bets.
But Huanfang Quant, they were in it for the long haul. They believed in their vision. So they just funded DeepSeek themselves, used the profits from their trading.
Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. It's inspiring, isn't it? Sometimes you just got to trust your gut and go for it.
Totally. Okay, so DeepSeek's having a big impact on the AI landscape, but let's zoom in a bit. What about specific applications?
The podcast, they were really excited about the possibilities for AI companions, those systems you can interact with conversationally.
Right, like the ones on Character AI, where you can chat with historical figures, celebrities, all sorts of characters.
Exactly. DeepSeek could be a game changer in this field. Imagine AI companions that are even more sophisticated, more engaging, more responsive, all thanks to DeepSeek's efficiency.
Imagine having a deep conversation with AI Albert Einstein, really getting into his theories. Or think about kids learning history by talking to AI versions of historical figures.
It's about making learning more engaging, more fun. And it's not just about education and entertainment. The podcast also talked about the potential for these companions to provide emotional support, companionship, especially for people who are isolated or lonely.
It's an interesting thought. And as AI gets more sophisticated, I think we're going to see more and more of this.
Of course, it's important to approach this carefully, ethically. We need to be mindful of the potential risks as well as the benefits. But done right, this could have a really positive impact on people's lives.
And with DeepSeek making these companions more affordable, more accessible, it could benefit a lot of people.
It's a really exciting possibility. Shows how AI can be used to not just disrupt industries, but to actually improve lives.
So companions are one area. What about AI agents? Those systems that can act on our behalf, make decisions.
Like super-powered personal assistants. Imagine agents that can seamlessly navigate the internet, research topics, book appointments, even write code, all with very little human input.
It sounds almost too good to be true.
It might sound futuristic, but DeepSeek, it's making it more and more realistic.
Think about how much time and energy we could save if we had AI agents handling all those tasks.
We could focus on the things that really matter to us, our relationships, our creativity, our personal growth.
It's about using AI to augment our capabilities, to make us more efficient, more informed, more empowered.
Exactly. But of course, there are ethical considerations that we need to address. Like any powerful technology, there are potential downsides.
Right. We need to be thinking about the impact on jobs, on privacy, even on human agency. If we're letting AI make decisions for us, who's really in control?
Big questions, no easy answers. But we need to be having these conversations now before AI becomes so integrated into our lives that it's too late to course correct.
Okay, so we've talked about companions, agents, and then there's this whole other category, device-based AI, where DeepSeek could really shine.
Oh yeah, this is where things get wild. We've touched on it before, but DeepSeek's efficiency could make it possible to run these complex AI models directly on our devices.
So no more sending your data to the cloud to be processed. The AI's working right there, on your phone, your laptop, even smaller gadgets.
Exactly. Imagine real-time language translation that actually understands context and nuance. Personalized health monitoring that analyzes your data and alerts you to potential problems.
Yeah.
AI-powered creative tools that can help you generate music or art right on your phone.
It's like having a supercomputer in your pocket.
And because it's all running locally, you don't have to worry about your data being sent to the cloud. Big win for privacy.
Huge, especially as AI becomes more and more a part of our lives.
The podcast hosts even suggested this shift towards device-based AI could disrupt that whole traditional business model, hardware plus sauce.
You mean the one where they sell you a device and then charge you a monthly fee for access to their software?
Exactly. But what happens when the software gets so efficient that it can run directly on the device without needing a cloud connection or a subscription?
It's a whole new ballgame. The value shifts from the software to the hardware, and those recurring revenue streams could dry up.
Right. And companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, they might have to completely rethink their strategies.
Instead of locking users into closed ecosystems, they might have to compete on the quality and innovation of their hardware, knowing that the software is becoming more of a commodity.
It's a fascinating possibility. DeepSeek could actually trigger a fundamental change in the entire tech industry.
Okay, so DeepSeek's impact, it goes way beyond just the AI world. It's potentially reshaping the whole tech landscape.
And it all goes back to that company culture, right? Huanfang Quant, the podcast. They spent a good amount of time talking about how unique they are.
They're definitely an outlier. They're like a research lab disguised as a financial firm.
And it all starts with Huanfang, their founder. She's this brilliant mathematician who's been fascinated by AI for years. Imagine building a quantitative trading firm where pushing the boundaries of AI is just as important as making money.
It's a different way of thinking, and it seems like that mindset is spread throughout the whole company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've got this flat hierarchy, a laser focus on technical excellence, and this deep belief in the transformative power of AI.
Reminds me of the early days of OpenAI before they went all corporate.
Yeah, there's a real sense of passion and idealism there.
Yeah.
And it's clearly been successful for them. They've consistently outperformed the market in their trading, showing that their AI expertise is the real deal.
Right. It's not just theoretical. They're actually putting it into practice and getting results.
But it hasn't always been smooth sailing. The podcast mentioned that in 2021, Huanfang Quant faced a pretty significant setback. Something about their AI algorithms not performing as well as they expected.
So they had to overcome real challenges.
They did. But instead of abandoning their commitment to AI, they just dug in deeper. They invested even more in research and development. That shows real resilience, a belief in their vision, even when things get tough.
It's a great example of, not giving up when things get difficult. And that commitment eventually led to the creation of DeepSeek.
Exactly. It's a testament to their perseverance and their unwavering belief in the power of AI.
Now, even with their impressive track record and their groundbreaking technology, they initially struggled to get funding for DeepSeek, right?
It's amazing to think about that now, isn't it? The company that's shaking up the entire AI world couldn't even get a meeting with some investors back then. It really makes you wonder what those investors are thinking now.
I know, right? The podcast hosts had a few theories about why investors might have been hesitant. Remember, DeepSeek was a relative unknown back then. No flashy demos, no media hype.
Right. They were flying under the radar, quietly building something truly remarkable. But a lot of investors, they're drawn to the buzz, the hype.
And coming from a quantitative trading background might have made them seem like an outsider, like they didn't really belong in the AI world.
Exactly. Investors might have doubted their ability to compete with companies like Google or OpenAI, which already had those big AI reputations.
And AI research is expensive. A lot of investors are looking for those quick returns, not long-term bets.
That's true. But Huanfang Quant, they were different. They believed in their vision, and they were willing to back it up with their own resources. They funded DeepSeek's development themselves, using the profits from their trading operations. It's a bold move, and it paid off big time.
It's inspiring, isn't it? They bet on themselves even when others didn't see their potential.
And that's what makes their success all the more remarkable. It's a reminder that sometimes the most groundbreaking innovations come from those who are willing to defy conventional wisdom.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the big picture impact of DeepSeek, but let's zoom in on some specific applications where it's already making a difference. The podcast hosts were particularly enthusiastic about the potential for AI companions.
Oh yeah, those AI-powered characters that you can chat with on platforms like Character AI. It's such a fascinating concept, and it's already incredibly popular. People are spending hours interacting with these AI personas.
It's like having a conversation with a historical figure or a fictional character, and DeepSeek could take this to a whole new level.
Exactly. DeepSeek's efficiency gains could allow companies like Character AI to create even more sophisticated and engaging experiences. Imagine having a deep philosophical conversation with an AI version of Socrates, or discussing the nuances of quantum mechanics with AI Richard Feynman.
It's like bringing history and imagination to life.
And it's not just about entertainment and education. The podcast hosts also discuss the potential for these companions to provide emotional support and companionship, especially for people who might be isolated or lonely.
That's a really interesting idea. Imagine an AI companion that can offer encouragement, listen without judgment, and even help you connect with others who share your interests.
Of course, it's important to approach this with sensitivity and make sure these AI companions are developed and used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. But if done thoughtfully, this could have a profound positive impact on people's lives, helping to combat loneliness, promote mental well-being, and foster a sense of connection.
And with DeepSeek's efficiency gains, these companions could become more affordable and accessible, potentially benefiting millions of people.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities. Okay, so we've talked about companions. What about AI agents? Those AI systems that can act on our behalf, performing tasks and making decisions.
Like having a team of super smart personal assistants working for you 24/7. Imagine AI agents that can seamlessly navigate the internet, research any topic you can imagine, schedule your appointments, manage your finances, even write emails or code, all with minimal human intervention.
It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It might sound futuristic, but DeepSeek's efficiency gains are bringing that vision closer to reality, and it could have a huge impact on how we work, learn, and live our lives.
Imagine AI agents that can personalize your learning experience, adapting to your pace and style, providing feedback and guidance as you master new skills.
Or AI agents that can help you manage your health, track your fitness goals, and even offer personalized recommendations for diet and exercise.
It's about using AI to augment our capabilities, freeing up our time and energy so we can focus on the things that matter most.
But of course, as with any powerful technology, we need to think carefully about the potential downsides.
Right, we need to consider the impact on jobs, on privacy, even on human agency. If AI agents are making decisions for us, Who's ultimately responsible for those decisions? And how do we ensure that these AI systems are aligned with our values and goals?
Those are big questions, and there are no easy answers.
But we need to be having those conversations now before AI becomes so deeply integrated into our lives that it's too late to course correct.
It's about making sure that AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
It's about shaping the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone, not just a select few. Okay, so we've talked about companions, we've talked about agents, and then there's this whole other area where DeepSeek could have a huge impact, device-based AI.
Yeah, we've touched on this before, but it's worth exploring further. DeepSeek's efficiency could make it possible to run complex AI models directly on devices like smartphones, laptops, even smaller gadgets.
No more cloud. The AI would be working right there on your device.
Exactly. And that opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Imagine personalized health monitoring that analyzes your data in real time and alerts you to potential issues, or real-time language translation that understands context and nuance, or AI-powered creative tools that can help you generate music or art, all running locally on your phone.
It's like having a supercomputer in your pocket.
And because the AI is running locally, you don't have to worry about your data being sent to the cloud, which addresses some of the privacy concerns people have.
Right, that's a huge advantage, especially as we become more reliant on AI in our daily lives.
The podcast hosts even speculated that this shift towards device-based AI could disrupt the traditional hardware plus SaaS business model.
You mean the model where companies sell you a device and then charge you a monthly fee for access to their software?
Exactly. But what happens when the software becomes so efficient that it can run directly on the device without needing a cloud connection or a subscription?
The whole game changes. The value shifts from the software to the hardware. And companies might have to compete on the quality and innovation of their hardware, knowing that the software is becoming more of a commodity.
Right. It's a fascinating possibility. DeepSeek could spark a fundamental change in how technology is developed and delivered. And it all comes back to Huanfang Quant, the company behind DeepSeek. They really are a unique company. Their culture, their approach, it's unlike anything else out there.
They're like a research lab operating in the world of finance.
And it all goes back to their founder, Liang Wenfeng. She's this brilliant mathematician who's been obsessed with AI for years. Imagine building a quantitative trading firm where pushing the boundaries of AI is just as important as, making money.
It's a different kind of mindset, a long-term vision, and it seems like that vision has influenced the entire company culture.
Absolutely. They fostered this environment where everyone's encouraged to think big, to take risks. They've got this flat hierarchy. Everyone's on a first-name basis. And there's this deep belief in the transformative power of AI.
They sound a lot like the early days of OpenAI, before the Microsoft acquisition.
Yeah, there are definitely some similarities. And their approach, it's clearly working for them. They've consistently outperformed the market with their trading, showing that they're not just theorists, they're practitioners.
Right, their AI expertise is the real deal.
But even with all their success, the podcast mentioned that they faced some real challenges along the way.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, back in 2021, they had this issue with their AI trading algorithms that led to a pretty significant dip in performance.
So even the best stumble sometimes.
Exactly. But what's important is how you respond to those setbacks. And Huanfang Quant, they didn't let it derail them. They doubled down on their commitment to AI, invested even more in research and development, and that ultimately led to the creation of DeepSeek.
It's a good reminder that sometimes you have to go through those tough times to achieve something truly groundbreaking.
Absolutely. And their story also highlights the importance of having that long-term vision, of being willing to stick with your ideas even when others doubt you.
Because remember, they initially struggled to get funding for DeepSeek.
It's amazing to think about that now, isn't it? The company that's shaking up the AI world couldn't even get a meeting with some investors back then.
It really makes you wonder what those investors are thinking now. The podcast hosts had a few theories about why investors might have been hesitant back then.
Well, for one thing, DeepSeek was a relative unknown. They didn't have the flashy demos or the media hype that some other AI startups had.
And coming from a quantitative trading background might have made them seem like an outsider, like they didn't really belong in the AI world.
Exactly. Investors might have doubted their ability to compete with the established players. And AI research, that's expensive. A lot of investors are looking for those quick returns, not long-term bets.
But Huanfang Quant, they believed in their vision. They were willing to bet on themselves, even when others didn't see the potential.
and that's what makes their success all the more impressive. It's a reminder that sometimes the most disruptive innovations come from those who are willing to defy conventional wisdom.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about some specific areas where DeepSeek is already having a big impact. One area that the podcast hosts were particularly excited about was the potential for AI companions.
Right, those AI-powered characters that you can interact with on platforms like Character AI. It's such a fascinating concept, and it's already incredibly popular. People are spending hours chatting with these AI personas, exploring different personalities and ideas.
It's like stepping into a world where you can have a conversation with anyone, from historical figures to fictional characters, and DeepSeek could make those experiences even more immersive and engaging.
Exactly. DeepSeek's efficiency gains could allow companies like Character AI to create AI companions that are even more sophisticated and responsive. Imagine having a deep, philosophical conversation with an AI Socrates, or discussing the nuances of quantum mechanics with AI Richard Feynman.
It's like bringing history and imagination to life.
And it's not just about entertainment and education. The podcast hosts also talked about the potential for these companions to provide emotional support and companionship, especially for people who might be feeling isolated or lonely. Imagine an AI companion that can offer encouragement, listen without judgment, and even help you connect with others who share your interests.
That's a really powerful idea, and as AI systems become more advanced, I think we're going to see more and more of this. AI companions that can provide a sense of connection and belonging.
Of course, it's important to approach this carefully to make sure these AI companions are developed and used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the potential risks as well as the benefits. But if done thoughtfully, I think this could have a profound positive impact on people's lives.
And with DeepSeek's efficiency gains, these companions could become more affordable and accessible, potentially benefiting millions of people.
Okay, so AI companions are one area where DeepSeek is making waves. Another area is AI agents, those AI systems that can act on our behalf, performing tasks and making decisions.
It's like having a team of super smart personal assistants working for you 24/7. Imagine AI agents that can seamlessly navigate the internet, research any topic you can imagine, book your appointments, manage your finances, even draft emails or write code, all with very little human input.
It sounds almost too good to be true.
It might sound futuristic, but DeepSeek is making that vision more attainable than ever before. And it could fundamentally change how we work, learn, and live.
Imagine having AI agents that can personalize your learning experience, adapting to your pace and style, providing feedback and guidance as you master new skills.
Or AI agents that can help you manage your health, track your fitness goals, and even offer personalized recommendations for diet and exercise.
It's about using AI to augment our capabilities, freeing up our time and mental energy so we can focus on the things that truly matter to us.
Exactly. But of course, as with any powerful technology, there are ethical considerations that we need to be mindful of.
Right, we need to think about the potential impact on jobs, on privacy, even on human agency. If AI agents are making decisions for us, who's ultimately responsible? And how do we ensure that these systems align with our values and goals?
Those are big questions and there are no easy answers. But we need to be asking them now as AI agents become more prevalent in our lives. It's about ensuring that AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
It's about shaping the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone. Okay, so we've talked about companions, we've talked about agents, and then there's this whole other category where DeepSeek's efficiency could be revolutionary. Device-based AI.
We've touched on this before, but it's worth digging into. Because with DeepSeek, it might be possible to run these complex AI models directly on devices like smartphones, laptops, even smaller gadgets, without needing a constant connection to the cloud.
So the AI would be working right there on your device, no cloud needed.
Exactly. And that unlocks a whole new world of possibilities. Imagine personalized health monitoring that analyzes your data in real time and alerts you to potential issues. Or real-time language translation that understands context and nuance. Or AI-powered creative tools that can help you generate music or art, all running locally on your phone.
It's like having a supercomputer in your pocket.
And because the AI is running locally, you don't have to worry about your data being sent to the cloud, which addresses some of the privacy concerns that people have.
Right, that's a big win for user privacy, especially as we become more reliant on AI in our daily lives.
The podcast hosts even speculated that this shift towards device-based AI could disrupt that whole traditional business model. hardware plus SaaS.
The one where they sell you a device and then charge you a monthly fee for access to their software and services?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what happens when the software gets so efficient that it can run directly on the device? No cloud connection needed, no subscription.
The whole model flips. Suddenly, the value shifts from the software to the hardware, and companies might have to compete on the quality and innovation of their hardware, knowing that the software is becoming more of a commodity.
Exactly. It's a fascinating possibility. DeepSeek could spark a fundamental change in the entire tech industry.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From the technical details of DeepSeek to its impact on the AI landscape and beyond. But what I find really fascinating is the story of the company behind it all, Huanfang Quant.
They're truly an outlier in the AI world. They're like a research lab operating in the cutthroat world of finance.
Right, and it all goes back to their founder, Liang Wenfeng, this brilliant mathematician who's been obsessed with AI for years.
Expert speaker.
It's amazing, right? She built this quantitative trading firm where pushing the boundaries of AI is just as important as, making money. It's not your typical Wall Street mentality.
No, not at all. And that vision, it seems like it really permeates their whole culture. This flat hierarchy, this intense focus on technical excellence, and this deep, deep belief in AI. Yeah, it's almost like, a religious conviction. They really believe that AI can change the world.
It's inspiring, in a way.
It is. And it's clearly working for them. I mean, look at their track record in trading. They've consistently outperformed the market. It's not just luck. They're doing something right.
Right, they're putting their AI where their mouth is, so to speak. But the podcast, it also mentioned that they hit a bit of a snag back in 2021. Their algorithms, they didn't perform as well as expected, and it actually cost them quite a bit.
Yeah, that was a tough time for them, for sure.
Yeah.
But what's really impressive is that they didn't give up. They didn't abandon AI. They actually doubled down, invested even more in research and development.
That shows real commitment. And, it eventually paid off. That's how DeepSeek was born.
Exactly. It's a testament to their perseverance. They had this vision, and they weren't going to let a few setbacks stop them.
It's a good reminder, even when things get tough, if you really believe in something, it's worth sticking with it.
Absolutely. And, their story also highlights how sometimes the most innovative ideas, they come from outside the mainstream. Remember, initially, they had a really hard time getting funding for DeepSeek.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about now, right? This company that's shaking up the AI world, they couldn't even get a meeting with some investors back then.
It really makes you wonder what those investors are thinking now.
I know, right? But, the podcast hosts, they had some theories about why investors might have been so hesitant. For one thing, DeepSeek was a relative unknown back then. No flashy demos, no media hype.
And coming from a quantitative trading background, that might have made some investors see them as, well, kind of an outsider, not a real AI company.
Oh, that Silicon Valley bias.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the fact that AI research is expensive. And a lot of investors, they're looking for quick returns, not long-term bets.
But Huanfeng Quant, they were in it for the long haul. They believed in their vision, and they were willing to put their own money on the line.
And it paid off. Big time.
It's a great story, isn't it? It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from those who are willing to defy conventional wisdom.
And, it's a reminder that the future of AI, it's not predetermined. It's something that we're all shaping through our choices, through our investments, through our beliefs.
That's a powerful thought. So as we wrap up our dip dive into DeepSeek, I think it's worth taking a moment to reflect on what we've learned and, maybe even think about what role we want to play in shaping the future of AI.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. DeepSeek's story, it's full of lessons about the power of vision, the importance of perseverance, the need to challenge assumptions, and, maybe even the need to be a little bit rebellious sometimes.
It's a reminder that innovation can come from anywhere, and that the most exciting discoveries, they're often the ones that nobody sees coming.
So if there's one thing I hope people take away from this deep dive, it's this. Don't be afraid to think differently. Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo. And don't be afraid to bet on yourself, even when nobody else will.
Beautifully said. And who knows, maybe the next DeepSeek is already out there waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, the future of AI is still being written. So get out there and write your own chapter.
That's right. Until next time.